How do I know if I am A, habitually triggering anxiety myself, or B, actually feeling my feels? This is a really great question, and it refers to a short that I did a couple weeks back about how our bodies can get chemically dependent on our emotions. So our brain ends up triggering these emotions without us even really consciously having the true emotion. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chelsea Albert, and I'm an intuitive hypnotherapist. And I am really excited to answer this question because it's a really good one. So, it deserved more than a minute long reel. There's too much to go into here, but I'm going to try to keep it, more or less. The first thing you got to understand about true anxiety, really any emotion, there's no such thing as a bad emotion. Every single emotion we have is trying to signal something to us so that we can heal and evolve into the next level. So even anxiety, as uncomfortable as it is really very sweet, and it's trying to help you out. What this person is asking, again, is in kind of relation to sometimes we can get so used to feeling anxiety that even after we've done a good amount of healing or after a really good breakthrough, sometimes these just like moments and these thoughts will come up, and it's like out of nowhere, and our anxiety gets triggered and it feels like we can't escape it. That's because the body has recognized anxiety as its set point, and when it's not feeling anxiety, it starts to freak out thinking that it's dying, sends a signal up to the brain, says, hey brain, get us some chemicals. Brain says, gotcha, no problem, let's think about this thing that happened, and let's think about this thing that happened. So how do you know whether it's anxiety, like the true emotion, trying to be helpful and trying to point out whether you are A, picking up on somebody else's energy that's maybe not even your own, B, projecting your past into the future, or C, you're actually putting yourself in somewhere where you're not in alignment? Because that's what anxiety helps us understand, one of those three things. So this comes down to a couple of different factors. One is, and we just kind of have to clear this table first, is this even your own anxiety? And you can tell by asking yourself this really simple question, is this mine? A lot of people are very energetically sensitive these days, so you might actually be picking up on someone who you're very, very close to, even if they're not in the same room, someone who you're very, very close to. So if you ask yourself, is this mine? You might get a sense somehow that, no, that might actually be my mom, or that might actually be, my friend who's been going through a lot. Or you might actually be in a place where there's a lot of anxiety. You might be in a stressful work environment. And even if everyone else around you has no clue what's going on, you might end up picking up on some of their meh. So first order of business is to make sure that it is your anxiety. So if you do ask yourself that question, is it mine? Chances are your body will give you a signal. Either it'll relax, or you'll just get a very clear sense of, no, this isn't mine. Sometimes you'll get a sense of like, there's a little bit that's mine, but mostly other people's, or there's a little bit that's other people's, but it's mostly mine. In which case, go ahead and take a deep breath and just set the intention to release all of the shit that's not yours. So that's step one. Now that we've figured out if it really is coming from you, the difference between an emotion and your brain trying to trigger a chemical emotion, for lack of a better term, I'm sure there's a better way of putting that, is the circumstances that it comes up in. So with true anxiety, usually there will be something more or less in front of you. There will be something that you're already dealing with. Maybe you're stressed out at work. Maybe you are contemplating getting into a relationship, and whenever you're near this person, they bring out your anxious side, which is a good signal that maybe they're not aligned with you. Or maybe you're in a job that's not particularly stressful, but you're feeling anxious whenever you go in. Again, that might be a very helpful signal from that very sweet little anxiety that this isn't the place that's really going to be your best fit, and might actually end up, draining you more than it's helping you. But there will be usually kind of something more or less identifiable in front of you. You'll tend to be kind of already in that, it'll be pretty identifiable if there's a point. when you have been on a healing journey, odds are, if your brain is just trying to jumpstart your anxiety chemicals, what's going to be happening around that time is you might actually be feeling pretty peaceful. You might actually be feeling really pretty good for, the past few days, past few weeks, past few hours. And all of a sudden, a thought will occur to you out of nowhere. That's a really good indication that your body's kind of freaking out with all this peace. And your brain is going, okay, I got to think of something. So that's one really clear indicator is, how were you feeling before and after? Is this something that you've been dealing with, or something that you've kind of seen coming down the road? Now, again, anxiety reminds us to stop projecting our past onto the future. So whatever you're going through, this is just a friendly reminder that anxiety is not a bad thing. It's trying to remind you to come back to the present, saying, ooh, okay, you're off balance here. We're feeling anxiety. Come on back to the present. That future you're imagining is probably not going to happen anyway. Whereas if your brain is just habitually triggering that thought process, it's going to kind of come up when you've actually been feeling pretty peaceful up until right before. So check and see how you've been feeling around that time frame. Next thing is anxiety or any emotion that has become habitual is there's a feeling of judgment that comes with it. So when you are on your healing journey, one of the very first and powerful steps is learning to release judgment. And it's not always the first step, depending on where it goes, but honestly, it's one of my favorite steps to start with, because judgment is what creates suffering. Judgment is what says this is right or wrong, this is good or bad, this is, I should be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this. So, true anxiety will often be anxiety. There's not going, there might be, once you kind of roll into it, then you might start judging yourself again, kind of depending on your habits and your patterns. But really, there will be a pretty clearly defined, I'm feeling anxious about this, but there will be a string of peace that, nope, this is legit anxiety. I need to feel through this. Whereas when your brain is triggering anxiety to try to restart those anxiety chemicals, what you're going to notice is it comes with a lot of judgment. It comes with a lot of, I should be over this by now. I shouldn't be feeling this right. Great, I'm ruining the night. And it's almost like your brain recognizes that you're at a little bit more of a peaceful place with your anxiety. So all of a sudden, just pure anxiety ain't going to do it anymore. Now your brain has to ramp it up to get you that same jump of chemicals. And it's almost as though your brain will try to up the ante. And so it might come in with a base level of anxiety. Well, if you're at peace with feeling anxiety, whether or not it's your brain or whether or not it's a true feeling, then your brain's going to read that and go, shoot, that's not working. Okay, kick in with the judgment. And now it's going to start going off on a bunch of different spirals of, I'm a shitty person. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I thought I was past this. I should be past this. And all these other myriads of judgments to try to get you to that anxious state. So, if it comes with judgment, that's also a pretty good sign that it's a neurological pathway trying to reinforce itself and those little synapses trying to fire in the ways that they used to, rather than a true emotion that has a healing message for you. On that subject, the next thing is a true emotion. You can feel a really big whack of an emotion within about maybe 15, 25 minutes. Now, that doesn't mean that if that emotion is meant to stay with you for a little bit until you're ready to move forward with it, it doesn't mean that it won't hang out, but the intensity of the emotion can usually be felt through in a very short amount of time. So a final test would be, can you try to let yourself feel it? Can you try to let yourself, really feel it in your body, feel that crunching, feel that in your heart, in your stomach, in wherever you feel your anxiety? Can you imagine cranking it up to 11? Can you try to feel it as much as you possibly can? I mean, really just dance with this emotion. And if you come through to the other side and you feel peaceful after having felt it, chances are that's really an emotion that needed to be felt, because honestly, after that, whether or not you get a very clear picture of what you were meant to take from it, or whether or not the emotion just goes away or shifts, you'll notice there's a shift of some kind. When it is a brain trying to stimulate the anxiety chemicals scenario, it's almost as if the brain likes to keep control of it. So if you try to feel it in your body, there's going to be some resistance there. Maybe you'll go numb. Maybe, you'll just start ruminating and keep it all the way up here. Well, I've got to do this. And all those voices. And again, there's the judgment. So, because the body wants those chemicals for the time being. And the funny thing is, the longer you go without them, the longer stretches, the less this is going to happen. So don't freak yourself out. Don't worry about if okay, well, great, now my brain's just going to hijack me whenever I start feeling peaceful. No. But that first little bit in the beginning of your healing journey, or at a certain point in your healing journey, you might experience some of these little setback illusions where it's not that you're not healed, it's not that you're not healing, it's just that your brain and your body are not used to it yet. And that actually happens really, really commonly when there's been a big breakthrough, because sometimes we get, conditioned to believe that, well, healing can't happen that fast. I must not have healed. And again, the brain just off to the races, right? So I hope that helps. It was a very deep question that deserved a full answer. And if you enjoyed, or if you benefited from this answer, please like this video, subscribe it, share it with someone who you think it could help. And if you want to jump in on the conversation and start, getting some intuitive answers to all of your questions about life, the universe, everything, relationships, anxiety, emotions, healing, I've got a great community called the Catalyst membership, and it is not only a place where you can jump on live Zoom calls and we can actually chat about it and work out what's going on in your life, but you can also get access to a full library of hypnosis meditations that are designed to really help you heal and access what's going on under the surface, so that you can clear it and heal it and really discern whether it's anxiety or whether it's just your brain trying to get back into old habits that you don't really need anymore. So with that being said, hope it helps. Happy healing.